are back with the MLB Nation Bullpen Chatter podcast. I am Brandon Benson here with my partner Luke Jett. Luke, how are we doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I am good. In today's show, we're going to talk about Joe Girardi and all the rumors swirling around him. Branching off of that, we're going to discuss the managers in baseball. Which open managerial position is the top job heading into 2014? And also, we'll talk about the Arizona Fall League, which gets underway on Tuesday. Let's kick it off with Joe Girardi. And thankfully, Luke happens to be the Cubs reporter for MLB Nation, so he's a good guy to talk to about this. We have heard that the Yankees have made their offer to Girardi. It's going to be from around 12 to 15 million, and apparently 5 million per year. And according to sources, and Luke can confirm this, that a lot of people believe that the Cubs will match whatever and go outbid the Yankees for Joe Girardi. And Luke, can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, the Yankees are giving him, like you said, I think it was 12 to 15 mil over 3 or 4 years. And Girardi has gotten that offer and has yet to confirm nor deny it. So right now it's pretty much just a waiting game. The Cubs are prepared, as multiple sources have confirmed, that they are prepared to match or outpay the Yankees for Girardi's services. Right now, basically, the Cubs are just interviewing different candidates as a backup plan. They interviewed Manny Acta today. They interviewed A.J. Hinch earlier last week. So they're just waiting right now and just getting ready for backup plans if Girardi stays in New York.
Before we talk more Girardi, can you tell the people at home if the interviews with A.J. Hinch or Manny Acta really have any truth to them? Are they just placeholders in case there's no chance at Girardi, or are they legitimate candidates for the Cubs job?
I believe they're legitimate candidates, but also if Girardi's available, Girardi's the top pick for the front office. But right now they're exploring all their options. I mean, anything can really happen. I've seen multiple tweets that have said that there's no way Girardi's leaving New York, and some that say Girardi's for sure leaving. And it's hard to keep up with, but the Cubs are just trying to keep an open mind just in case Girardi stays in New York. And then Manny Acta, good manager, would be good with the Latino players, as I wrote today. And A.J. Hinch is a player developer from the Padres, and he'd be perfect developing all the young talent the Cubs got up. So I don't think there's a manager that the Cubs are just interviewing just for the sole fact of interview, but I believe that Girardi's their top candidate, and if Girardi's available, Theo and Jett are going to get Girardi.
Now, as everyone knows, I love to throw in my opinion on everything, so I'm going to on Joe Girardi right now. Joe Girardi is one of the best managers in the game. He really is. I personally love him as a guy, and I love him as a manager. And there's several different sides to look at this whole situation. From the Yankees side, him going back to the Yankees, or him leaving for Chicago. Let's start with the Cubs side. First of all, he's from Chicago. I don't know how much we can look into that, but he's from the area. He played for the Cubs. It would seem like a nice fit. Girardi is a guy that he has said that he enjoys developing players. He's a catcher. I'm sure he loves to help and work with people. That's what all catchers love to do. As you've mentioned, the Cubs have a flurry of young talent. It's young guys galore. We discussed this before we went on the air, that all the time, all over in the Cubs organization, you have a guy that you can plug in within 2 to 3 years and be a possible star in the big leagues. They've got Baez, Bolt, Chris Bryant, Almora. There's everybody you can plug in at every position, and they aren't strong in the minor leagues in pitching, but they have talent. They've got guys that could come in, and the Cubs could certainly be contending within the next few years. So that's got to be intriguing from Joe Girardi's perspective. And he's really, really a talented manager. He's managed in the NL before. I don't think anyone really remembers that, but he managed the Marlins in 2006 and happened to win NL Manager of the Year. So he knows that league. He's done that. In his time with the Yankees, what can you say about him? People say, okay, they bought these titles and stuff. All right, in 2009 they won the World Series in his second year as a manager, going 103 and 59. Obviously, he had something to do with that. Every year as a Yankee, they've had a winning season with him at the helm. Especially this year, they went 85 and 77. And I've just said this a million times on this show. Look at the lineups he's had to throw out there. I mean, there were games when Brendan Ryan, Lyle Overbay, and a bunch of guys you've never heard of occupied that lineup. 55 different players appeared in that lineup, and he did a great job of mixing and matching, finding guys to do the job, and even though they didn't make the playoffs, they still finished 8 games above 500. That's pretty phenomenal to me, and I said that's why he's my AL manager of the year. I know a lot of guys, Farrell's done a great job. A lot of guys have done a great job, but I got to give it Girardi after what he's gone through. Not a single game that season did the projected starting lineup from opening day play together. They still won 85 games. Now, he's a really, really good manager. He's an ethics guy. He is about the players. He was one, so he knows what it's like. I loved what he did sending out Pettit and Jeter out to get Rivera in his last home game. I mean, he's a guy that's just he's a good guy. He understands, and he's kind of, in my opinion, he's the Doc Rivers of the MLB. Doc Rivers is a guy that puts baseball, or in his sake, he puts basketball second and just life first. That's what Girardi does. Not saying he doesn't care about his job or anything like that, but he puts, a lot of guys wouldn't have sent out, 2 of your players to go get a guy coming in for that. And he was discussing playing Mariano in center field. He said, well, the games don't really mean a ton now, so why not? If he wants to do it, he do it. He's about the players, and I think that would be a great fit for the Cubs. Dale Swain wasn't exactly about the players. If he was, you wouldn't have seen getting in arguments with Starlin Castro every 5 minutes. Not to say Swain wasn't a good manager, but, occasionally he had his moments. And I think Girardi would be a really, really good fit in Chicago. But here's the other side to it, and I've got to address this. If he goes to Chicago, it's not a money move. Okay? I know Theo is going to offer him a crap load of money. He's going to do it. But you know what? Girardi, this is what the kind of the Yankees perspective is. The Yankees don't have any, pretty much, young talent in the minor league system. They don't have any. Their roster right now is about the average age about 34. I mean, there's no young players that you can build around on that team. They don't have an ace. They currently don't have a closer. And the better job right now, and let me backtrack a second. The golden job in baseball used to be, I want to be the Yankees manager. It's not that anymore, guys. It's still a nice job to have. But in the division where you got the Rays, the Orioles, the Red Sox, and even the talented Blue Jays, you could be in a position where you're not winning for a while. The Yankees, you don't have young talent. Where are you going to build around? I don't know. You got the whole A-Rod circus going on there. And just because he won't go back to, in my opinion, I think he will go back, but if he doesn't, it's not because of the money, all right? He would go back because it's a better opportunity in Chicago. If he wants to teach young guys, if he wants to rebuild, if he wants to develop, then he's going to go to Chicago. And, I don't think as many as people are going to speculate, and ESPN Buster Maloney said this the other day, he said that he personally believes it could be a money move, and I completely disagree. I think he would, if he does go to Chicago, it'll be because he wants to develop young players, and it's a better opportunity than going back to the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, money's going to have some factor in it, but I think overall it's going to be what's best for his family. He said that before, that he wants to spend more time with his family, and that's a good reason. I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, if he wants to move back he's probably about 2.5 hours from Chicago, so, he's from Illinois, and he might have family in Illinois, but I think if he goes to the Cubs, it's going to be more about the team and he wants a, what's the word I'm looking for? He wants a mission, a task to turn this thing around and try to lead the Cubs to a World Series.
And as you said, obviously money's going to be some factor too. I mean, he's not doing this for charity, but it's I don't know how much you can look into that. I mean, either team, both sides are going to offer him a lot of money. So is it about who offers more dollars? No, it's about I'm sure that's going to have some factor into it, but I think it's got lots to do with the opportunity. But I personally believe he goes back to the Yankees. What do you think?
Uh, what does my heart say, or what does my head say? Um, I think,
All of our are going to go to Chicago.
yeah, I think he'll end up staying with the Yankees, in my opinion. But I'd love to see him as the Cubs manager. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, it really would be cool to see him, back managing the National League and see how he can develop all that young talent that is currently coming up in the Cubs system. We spoke on one manager, but now we're going to speak on a whole bunch of managerial job opportunities right now across baseball. This past week or two, we've seen a bunch of teams open up opportunities at the manager position as, the Reds let go of Dusty Baker. Davey Johnson retired in Washington, and currently we don't know if Girardi is going to go back to the Yankees. And as we just mentioned, the Cubs, anyone could be the skipper for them right now. Heading into 2014, which job opportunity between Cincinnati, Washington, the Cubs, and the Yankees is the best opportunity for a managerial candidate?
I think it's Washington. It's not really close. I mean, this team's coming off a disappointing year this year, but the year before, strike away from the NLCS, projected to win 95, 100 games this year. You get to manage Strasburg, Harper, all that young talent they got, and I just think Washington would be a great place to manage.
I mean, absolutely, there's no denying that. I mean, I've been on the record saying that I do believe in 2012 it was that the Nationals a bit overachieved. I mean, if you look back at all the guys that had career years that season, but that's not really the point right here. I'm sure it would be a great job to have in Washington, but at the same time, you're in a good division where, and yes, you heard right, you're in a good division because the Mets, they're gonna very soon. As soon as they can get some hitters in their farm system coming up, they are going to be dangerous. I mean, look at all that pitching they've got going. Pretty soon they're going to be bumping guys like John Neese from the rotation, and he's a decent pitcher. And the Phillies aren't too far away from being relevant again. They've got some guys that could come up and be successful in the big leagues. But, whereas one place, and this is really intriguing to me, is Cincinnati. Because Cincinnati has young talent, and Washington, we know, has young talent that's major league ready right now. Cincinnati has young talent that's currently in the minors, as well as the fact that Cincinnati has young talent in the bigs right now. I am not a big believer in what Dusty Baker, I believe, misused the talent that was in Cincinnati. I believe, actually, the Reds is the best opportunity right now. If you look at you get Joey Votto, okay, that's awesome. But you got other young players, and you got Chapman, you got Jay Bruce, and all these guys that can be developed. And certainly Todd Frazier is extremely talented, and I'm a big Todd Frazier guy. He had a poor season, but I certainly believe he could be developed into a good player. And then you've got guys like Robert Stevenson and a minor league pitcher that's really obviously got Billy Hamilton. I think the Reds job is really, really intriguing.
Yeah, I could see that too. I mean, the Reds were my second choice, but I think the Nationals are the closest to winning, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, the Reds are a good team, but you don't know. I mean, Phillips had a great year. Votto had an amazing MVP year. They can keep it up, but you don't know about other players on their team. Their pitching, I mean, Latos had a career year. Cueto's been hurt. The rotation.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying there, but at the same time, let's look at Washington. There's always injury concern with Strasburg. There's always going to be. I don't know what's going to go on at first base there. They don't have. They kind of gave up on Tyler Moore, who I'm not sure if anybody really has paid much attention to, but he is a really talented guy, and they kind of just shut the door on his opportunity. I don't know about their outfield situation. I know Worth had a great season, but can't he keep that up? Denard Span, until his hitting streak, really didn't do anything. Zimmerman's got some concerns right now with his ability at their base. And what about second base? I mean, what do we got there? Espinosa could be out the door soon. Anthony Rendon, I mean, is he anything special? And they don't really have anything at catcher. I mean, Wilson Ramos is okay. But, and that bullpen, I mean, their bullpen was talented, but they struggled. Oh boy, did they struggle most of the year. Just watching them play a lot because they just don't, they didn't have it. I feel like they could be a good team year in and year out. And for our final topic of the show, the Arizona Fall League gets underway today, excuse me. And Luke is a big fan of all the prospects, and he keeps up with it, and he's very knowledgeable in this area. And so I'm going to hand this to you, Luke. Guys like Byron Buxton, Jameson Taillon, Addison Russell, and a couple Cubs, Albert Almora and Jorge Soler, as well as Chris Bryant, are all going to be taking place in the Fall League. What can we learn for fans at home and for myself? What can we learn from a guy in the Arizona Fall League, and what can we expect from some of these high-profile prospects?
Well, in the Arizona Fall League, basically every team, or some teams, get 4 pitchers, 4 position players. Well, at least that's what the Cubs did. So they get players, and so basically you're just playing against the best prospects in the system, in reality. You mentioned some of the guys that are going to be there, like Buxton, Taillon, Almora, Soler. It's going to be, you can learn a lot from just this little 3-4 week stretch. And one guy I would say to look out for is probably the best prospect in baseball, and not probably, but the best prospect in baseball, and that's Byron Buxton. He's an outfielder he's going to be an outfielder, and he's in the Twins system. He hit .334 last year between high A and low A. So he'll probably be up in double A. His ETA is in 2015, so you won't get to see him for another 2 years. But I would say he's probably going to be number 1 prospect going into 2014, so you're going to want to keep an eye on him. Another guy, Jameson Taillon. He's a pitcher in the Pirates organization. He will be there. He went, 4-7 in Altoona, and 1-3 with a 3.89 in Indiana. So he split time between AA and AAA here last year. And his ETA is next year, so you might actually get to see him. Big kid, 6'6", 235. He's going to be pitching. And if you're a Cubs fan like I am, you're going to get to see 3 of the Big Four, in the Big Four prospects in Almora, Bryant, and Soler. And this could be interesting because Almora and Soler both missed an exceptional amount of time to end the year. Almora had a groin injury and Soler had a shin injury. So this will be interesting to see them back out there and playing, and see where their skill set is at going into spring training.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams sending out some high-profile prospects out there. As you mentioned, the Cubs are sending out a bunch of guys out there. Another team that are sending out some good players out there are the Blue Jays.
Yep.
They'll be sending out Aaron Sanchez, the 20th ranked overall prospect, according to MLB.com. A guy named Drew Hutchinson, and little old Marcus Stroman. I don't know how many of you know about Marcus Stroman. He was suspended about 2 years back for testing positive for stimulants, but he's still an elite young arm. He's about 5'9", but still dominates pitchers and strikeouts and throws hard. He reminds a lot of people of a hard-throwing Chris Smith. He's got the command. He doesn't have the issues like Lincecum does for a smaller guy. And he's one guy you can look for there for the Blue Jays system. I'm trying to see. Unfortunately, there will be no George Springer from the Houston Astros organization. He will not be participating in the Arizona Fall League. There's a lot of good young players to keep your eye out for. Let me see here, some interesting guys. looking at the list, Addison Russell, who's the shortstop in Oakland's organization, he's got a lot of potential going forward. Corey Seager, younger brother of Seattle Mariners third baseman Kyle Seager, will be participating for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And, I mean, there's a couple of Yankees guys, Tyler Austin and Mason Williams. And it's really, really interesting to watch these guys because this is your first opportunity to see them play. And, you know, some of these guys could very well be up with the big clubs at the start of next season.
Yeah, there's another guy, Austin Hedges. He's a catcher in the Padres organization. He spent time in high end AA last year, so he's one to keep an eye on. He's hit 260, but his glove is outstanding. That's just another guy to keep an eye on there.
And I'll let you give yours in a minute, but I'm going to give my guy to look for here, and it's not Buxton or any of these high-profile guys. It's Delino DeShields Jr., a guy in the Astros organization. He steals a lot of bases. He's a really athletic player who's converted to the outfield. His dad, Delino DeShields Sr., played with the Dodgers in the big leagues. He's one guy to look out. My guy to keep an eye on. Who's yours, Luke?
A little sleeper prospect here is Devon Travis. He's a second baseman in the Tigers organization. He hit 351 with 28 doubles, 16 home runs, and stole 22 bases last year. And I think he's just a neat little guy to keep an eye on. He can hit line drives, hit a little bit of power, and he's got some speed to steal some bases.
Yeah, and one last thing on this. As you mentioned Chris Bryant earlier, there will be 4 guys from the 2013 draft this past June that will be participating in the Arizona Fall League. It will be Chris Bryant, along with Marlins third baseman Colin Moran, Tigers right-hander, and they hope future closer Corey Nebel, and another guy for the Marlins, a right-hander named Colby Suggs. So there's a lot of interesting names to look out for here as the Arizona Fall League gets underway Tuesday. On this show, we discussed Joe Girardi, we discussed managerial gigs for 2014, and we broke down some top prospects that will be featured in this year's Arizona Fall League. I am Brandon Benson. You can follow me on Twitter at TheBTrain10. My partner is Luke Jett. You can follow him on Twitter at LukeJett10. Make sure to check out some of the best baseball content around on the MLBNation.com. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Peace out.